Hello and welcome to I Can't Believe It's Not the Mouse, the podcast all about animated movies not made by Disney. I'm your host, Octaviano, and today I'm going to talk about a recent-ish Sony movie. It came out last year, and it's just one that I really enjoyed. I thought it was a really well-done story. The animation is great in it, the music is great, and all around, it's just a really neat little movie. And that movie is Vivo. Now, Vivo, which is... I'm not sure if it was his idea originally. I think it was. But it pretty much it's a movie with Lin-Manuel Miranda. He stars as the main character. He provides the music. It's pretty much this little Pikachu character in Cubo who's pretty much played music all of his life with his owner, this guy named Andres, who is an old performer. And, life is good with them. Until one day, Andres gets a message from an old flame of his who turned out to be this big singer in the US, and she tells him that she's basically doing a farewell tour, and she wants him to be a part of that performance. So, of course, he gets ready to go. Vivo is hesitant to go until he slowly realizes, okay, look, Andres really wants to do this, I should support him. It turns out that he's too late because it turns out that Andres has passed away. There's a funeral around the town, and in comes in a pair of relatives who coincidentally are going to be in the same area where the performance is going to be at. So Vivo gets the idea of like, okay, I'll hitch a ride with them and deliver the song to her so she can perform it. Things, of course, go wrong as Vivo is forced to hang around with the grandniece of Andres, who pretty much is an animal lover, but also a musical lover, and pretty much she's just a really weird kid. But she's proud of being a weird kid. They decide, like, okay, we're gonna go and deliver the song, as the little girl picks up right away, like, okay, so he made the song for her, we should do this, and it's a whole big journey to get to the concert, so that she could perform the song and understand how exactly Andres felt about her. Because Andres never bothered telling her that he truly loved her, because he felt that if he told her how he felt, she would never have led the life that she would have, or she did. So that's generally what it is. And yeah, it's a fairly cute movie. It's a simple movie. It's pretty much a big journey. And yeah, it's just another movie that showcases that Sony really has changed over the years. A lot of people were often doubting Sony for years, but then when Into the Spider-Verse came out, all of a sudden people started loving them, and I'm like, I've always been there for them for the most part. I loved their Cloudy with Chance Meatball movies. I loved the Hotel Transylvania, so, I was always like, these guys have the potential. They just need to get more recognition for what they do. And I'm glad people are seeing that now. In the case of this movie, this one hit straight to Netflix. Unfortunately, because of COVID, they did put a lot of their movies in Netflix instead of releasing them in theaters, which I understand. But I would have loved to have seen this in theaters, as the animation in this is really good. It's not Spider-Verse. It's not even their previous movie, The Mitchells vs. the Machines. But it's definitely top-notch. There's a lot of vibrant colors. It really does represent, the Cuban, Latin flair really well. It plays well with the music and the world, and it's just very vibrant. And there's occasional 2D sequences, which are really nice to look at. And it's just a beautiful looking movie that, yeah, it really should be seen on the big screen, which, again, is sad that there wasn't really anything. Like, I know that apparently there was, like, some indie or smaller theaters, whatever, that did carry the movie, but it's like, not everyone has access to those, and even though technically I have access to those, they're pretty pricey, and while I'm not saying I wouldn't waste any money for this kind of stuff, it's just a matter of it being out of the way. There's a lot of factors going into this, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, it really does make it a shame, because it is a beautiful looking movie, like, whether it's like the fur on Vivo himself, the bright, weird colors, the girl that he pairs up with, Gabby, she's, very cute. Like, she's, of course, a very wild child. She's got the purple hair and whatnot, and, she, like, the movie really does highlight her colors really well. And like I said, within the performances, they use a lot of vibrant neon colors, stuff like that. And it's all just really well done, and it's the kind of thing where I'm like, yeah, this really needs to be seen on a bigger screen than what was offered, unfortunately. And I don't know. It's just a beautiful looking movie. Some of the standouts include the 2D sequences where you see what is essentially Andres's imagination of how things will be like, or when we get the performance from the girl he loved, Marta, who was played by Gloria Estefan. And yeah, like there's just beautiful 2D sequences with that. But, you know, you get other fun stuff. Like you get like these, they're not flamingos. Yeah, they're not flamingos. They're spoonbills. I don't know. These pink birds. They're kind of goofy. Like one's voiced by Brian Cherry Henry. The other one's Nicole Byer, and you know they're cute. I mean, they got some nice animation when you see like their love song and just the way they move. And of course, there's another sequence where Vivo comes across this snake villain character called Ludador. And it's not like your typical Disney villain because he's only for a portion of the movie. So it's more or less like, I guess, in a way, like a classic Disney villain. Like if you look at a lot of older Disney villains, older Disney movies, I mean, you would see like, okay, so there's like different portions of the movie. Like it's almost episodic, but at the same time, there is a clear story going through it. It's just that the journey allows for like, okay, here's this is what's going on now. That's kind of what it is right there. And, you know, there's a lot of fun stuff done with his character and just the way he moves, the color, it's all just really nice to look at. Visually, it's definitely one of the better looking animated films to have come out recently, and it's just one of those that I'm like, yeah, this is why I love Sony so much, because they are very good at creating these vibrant, cartoony CG worlds that really, you know, like even though they're not pushing the technology to its limits, it feels like they are because it's so much style to it that you just don't see from a lot of animated features that it just feels special to me. I think it really does showcase more personality than a lot of other studios do in their own features. And yeah, speaking of characters like the snake, you know, a lot of these characters are great. I do like what they do with the Andres character, where he passes away early on, because you really do get invested in this character. Like just the intro alone, you already like him because he's like, okay, he's got the nice voice, he's got a nice design, he's a friendly character, and you know, you can see how warm and lovely he is as a man. Like you kind of almost want to see more of him, but of course, you know, the story has to let him pass away just to give some tragedy to the story, while acknowledging like, hey, look, it's never too late to show, you know, your true love. Don't miss your chance, that kind of stuff. And it's just great. Vivo, great character. The Gabby character, I like the fact that she's a weird kid, but they don't try to do like a whole, oh, she's kind of shy or doesn't like socializing or people hate her or anything. Like they do introduce like these girls that are trying to bully her into being like a Girl Scout, but that's more or less just because like, well, she did sign up for it, but then she quickly decided to back out of it. So it's more or less just her, Gabby, being weird about it. So you can kind of get where the Girl Scout characters are coming from, even though, you know, they make them very persistent in chasing this girl, because throughout the entire movie they're chasing after her, being like, look, you wanted to do this, you got to do this. Also, now you have this Kikachu with you, and you're not taking care of it properly. We got to take care of it properly. We got to give it vaccinations and stuff, which funny stuff. I love that. The snake character, like I said before, great stuff. Michael Rooker is in that role, and it's, you know, Michael Rooker is always great. Even Zoe Saldana, I liked her character. She's the mom character. I mean, it's interesting that they made her so thick. Because, you know, there's always that joke about Pixar moms being thick, but I'm like, I don't know, man. I think, you know, Sony's trying to rival that with her, but I'm not here to be thirsty or horny or whatever. I'm just, you know, acknowledging what I saw. In her character, you know, she's the typical, like, oh, you know, the mom that wants to ruin the fun and whatnot, but I do like that they do try to give her some depth, and in fact, I kind of wish that there was a little bit more to her, because she does kind of acknowledge, like, towards the end of the movie, like, look, your dad passed away, and I know that you took after him more because he was, like, the goofball, he's the one that liked music, and you gravitated towards that, but I'm still a part of your life, and I'm still trying to care for you. Like, I'm not doing this because I want to ruin your life or whatever. Like, I'm doing this because I have to be the mature one to take care of you, but at the same time, I'm acknowledging that I just can't connect with you the same way he could have, even though I want to. And I'm like, that's actually touching stuff, and it really is effective for the movie. Yeah, like a lot of the stuff is actually really good for the movie. Like, realistically, with characters, I don't really have any problems with any of them. even like the minor stuff, it's mostly just all cute. Like even the spoonbill, bird characters that come in to help. You think that they're going to be annoying, but they're actually very cute, and you kind of love seeing their little love story play out, even though it's only a small fraction of the movie. Realistically, like the only thing that I kind of had an issue with, and it wasn't even anything serious, was Vivo himself, where it does the whole thing where like humans are just pretty much like in real life, like the animals only talk to animals, the humans talk to each other, and you have Vivo commenting on whatever the humans are saying, but they don't understand it because he's an animal. And for the most part, that's fine, but at times it does feel like, okay, we're just throwing in lines just because either kids might not fully understand what's going on, or it's the typical like, okay, well, kids movies do this or that thing, so we gotta have like this comment here and there, and it just never feels like it's something that would naturally be said, or in certain cases it just feels like, okay, you're having him say too much, which isn't necessarily bad. It's just something that I don't really care too much for. And as a character, while I do really enjoy him, it's kind of the problem that I have with someone like Woody in the first Toy Story, where it's like, okay, this character is kind of being a dick and selfish. I mean, they do backpedal a little bit, where it showcases like, okay, he is willing to understand other people's point of view before everything goes bad. Like, of course, with his owner Andres, even before he passes away, he kind of realized like, okay, maybe I'm being too rude on it. He really wants to see this person. I should support it, even though I don't want to leave this place. It's not fully like a full-on jerk like Woody, but at the same time, you do get certain instances where I'm like, this character's a little too much. Like, he's gearing towards being a bit unlikable, and yeah, it doesn't really fit well with this. I mean, for the most part, it never becomes that much of an issue. Like, you generally do like what Vivo is doing. You generally do like where Vivo is coming from, even if he's not always right. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, look, you can dial back the sass a bit, I guess. Of course, she pairs up with Gabby, and in a way, this kind of feels reminiscent of Pixar, which is why I'm bringing it so much, because it really does remind me of like the classic, the classic Pixar dynamic, where they have like, okay, two opposite characters come together, they go on a journey. That's what this pretty much is, and you always have Gabby being fully optimistic and just supporting people, regardless of her thinking that some of his stuff might not be great, whereas Bebo is just constantly commenting like, oh, she's bad at music and whatnot. Like, well, not constantly, but enough where it becomes noticeable. I don't know, I just kind of feel like at times he kind of should have been smacked around a bit, like, hey, dude, come on, chill it. But for the most part, it does work with them. You can tell automatically that they're pretty much where their arc is going. Like, okay, she's gonna like him automatically. He's not going to really like her, but over time he's going to love her. Nothing too surprising, but it works for what it is. And they do get in sync with each other enough to make some good musical numbers. I mean, even when it's other characters singing, where it's like, the two lover birds, get their own song, and it's a fun song. Vivo taunts the snake, and it's a cute little song. But, you do get a lot of great songs. Like, the one that's probably going to stick in most people's heads, it certainly stuck in my head, is, Gabby's song, Beat of My Own Drum or something like that. But pretty much it's like a song that really feels like it shouldn't work because it's supposed to be made up of a bunch of noises that a kid is making while, just being noisy. But it's strung together so well that it actually creates a really catchy beat that's fun and captures that chaotic feel of a kid who's constantly changing their interest, but does have at least a singular interest in music. And yeah, you got just beautiful songs like that. Like I said earlier on with the Andres song, really well done song, and it's a beautiful song, and it's the kind of thing where I'm like, yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda definitely has some talent. I mean, of course I've seen like Hamilton and Encanto and Moana, which all of them have some really good songs, but even with this, a movie that's outside of like the Disney sphere, I think it was a really solid time with the music. Both animation and vocally, it's definitely something where I'm like, yeah, if you told me that some of these would probably go on to be Oscar nominees, I'd believe it. I don't think any of them did, but it's something that I think would be possible, and quite frankly, I kind of feel like at least one or two of the songs should have been nominated, but that's just me. But yeah, overall, Vivo, really fun movie. The animation is nice. The characters, all really fun to look at, and pretty much go through their journey with them. Even if Vivo himself can be a bit too rude at times, but it's understandable. The musical numbers, like I said, it's definitely, fun stuff. Like, even if you're not into watching the movie, I would recommend at least listening to the soundtrack, like on Spotify or Apple or whatever it's on. The animation, great. I mean, the only reason why I wasn't rooting for this to win the Best Animated Feature award last year was because it turns out that that Sony released a much better animated feature just a few months prior to it, which was The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Yeah, even without that, it was definitely a highlight for last year in terms of animation, and it's just a really good example of how you can do just really good stories with diverse casts, representing different people, all while just providing something that anyone can enjoy. It's not deep into its own culture, but at the same time, it's there all over the place. It shines through enough that people will enjoy it. And yeah, I just think it's a really neat movie to watch. Honestly, it should be watched by more people. Yeah, it's on Netflix. As far as I know, I don't think it's been removed. I know if it has been removed, physical copies are out there now, so you can definitely find this in places. And yeah, it's well earned. It's just a really cute, really fun movie. I enjoyed it. I'm sure you will as well. If nothing else, I honestly think this one had better music in it than Encanto. Possibly even Moana, which I'm like, that already sets a pretty hard bar, but I'm willing to die on that hill because, yeah, it really is truly something special. So, yeah, I don't think I have much else to say other than thank you for listening. This has been Octaviano Macias. Not sure what I'm doing next week, but I will say thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again next time.
If you don't at least try to get along with other kids, you're going to be very lonely.
Meh.
Thank you for coming on today. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel where you'll see video versions of these podcasts. And if you just want to listen to them, there's always the option of just following the podcast on their various sites, whether it's Spotify, Podbean, or Apple Podcasts. Whatever you choose, I hope you continue enjoying these. And if you want to support me even further than that, there's always the option of Patreon. With Patreon, even just $1 will get your name on the video versions of this and on other videos that I may do outside of these podcasts. A few dollars more gets you some behind the scenes info, and as this continues to grow, you'll find that there's more perks to it. So I hope you consider supporting me through Patreon as well. In any case, again, thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.